parts per 100, and that's what the actual word percent means, you know, per, and then 100. Cent means 100, so it actually means per 100.
Century 100.
Yeah. So it's parts, and just like fractions and decimals are parts, percents are also parts. It's just that percents are in reference to out of 100. So we can convert a percent as a fraction or a mixed number. We can either move the decimal place and turn it into a decimal and then go from there to turn it into a fraction, or we can just use the fact that it's per 100 and go straight from the percent to the fraction. So what you do is you place the percent over 100 and then you reduce. Okay, so 79% is 79 over 100. Right, this won't reduce, so you're done. Let's change this to 108. So 108% is 108 over 100. Now this will reduce because these are both even. And I'd get 54 over 50 if I divide by 2. If I divide by 2 again, I get 27 over 25. Now I can leave it exactly like this as a fraction, or I can write it as a mixed number, which would be 1 and 2/5. Either of those is acceptable. Now here I have a decimal percent, so I can put the 0.5 over 100, but you don't keep decimals in fractions. Okay, so we have no decimals in the fraction, so what we need to do is you need to move both the numerator and the denominator the same number of decimal places. Okay, so to get rid of this decimal, I'm going to move that one place. So there's an invisible decimal there. I have to move that one place and add a 0 as a placeholder. So I'm just going to come up here where I have room. So this 0.5 over 100 turns into 5 over 1,000. 5 and 1,000 will both divide by 5. So I finally get 1 over 200. The percent proportion is one method of finding out what missing value you have, whether it's the part, the whole, or the percent. Now, you may have heard this as is over of. So is over of is equal to percent over 100. So the part is whatever number comes with the word is, and the whole is whatever number comes with the word of. Okay, and then obviously this is the percent. So to set this up, we don't know what the part is, what number. The is our unknown, so we're just going to call it x. So I do the is over the of is equal to the percent over 100. So the first step is to set up. The second step is to cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply 30 times 40 and x times 100. Then I'm going to divide. So 12 is 30%, is 40% of 30. If you don't like proportions, you can do the percent times the whole equals the part. Of is your multiplication, so this is your of word, and is your equals, so this is your is part, is word. So if I have 6.7 or 67.5 is 75% of what number? Well, what I do is I do 75% times what number equals 67.5. Now, to do this, though, I have to convert the percent to a decimal, because you can't work with a percent. So to convert a percent to a decimal, if I have 75%, here's an easy way to remember it. I want to convert from a percent to a decimal. I have a percent, it has 2 dots, right? So 2 decimal places away from the percent sign, because I'm moving away from a percent and going to a decimal. So I do 0.75x is equal to 67.5. Then I divide by 0.75. So x is going to be 90. For this one as well. Okay, so Kelsey took a survey of students in her lunch period. 42 out of 70 students Kelsey surveyed said their family had a pet. So what percent has pets? Method 1 can use that percent proportion. So we'll use is over of is equal to percent over 100. Of is 70. So that makes 42 or is. So I do 42 over 70 is equal to, I don't know the percent. Cross multiply. So I have 70x is equal to 4200. Divide by 70. And x is going to be 60%. Okay. If you don't like that method, we can use the straight decimal to percentage method. So I can decide that 42 out of 70 students like, or I say 42 out of 70 students like or have pets. So I divide this, and we're going to get 0.6. Then I'm going to take that 0.6, and now I'm converting to a percentage, so I knew to move 2 decimal places towards where the percent sign would be. If there's nothing there, I add a placeholder 0, and I get the same answer. A percent of change is basically it's a percent It's a percent that describes how value has changed over time. Percent increases occur when the value has increased. And percent decreases occur when the value has decreased. Okay, so if the initial is less than the final, you have a percent increase. If the initial is greater than the final, you have a percent decrease. The percent increase is you can take the new number, you can subtract the original number, and then divide it by the original number, and then multiply it by 100, and that'll give you a percent. Multiplying by 100 is the same thing as moving the decimal place. To the right. Okay. So using this first method, my new number is 35, my original is 27, so I'm going to do 35 minus 27 divided by the original, which is 27, and multiply that by 100. So that's 8 divided by 27 times 100. Okay, so multiplying by 100, or you can move 2 places to the right. It's the same thing. And I get 29.63%. Now, this is a positive number, right? When I subtracted, I got a positive number, so that's an increase. So, positive gives you an increase, negative, and you get a decrease. The proportion again, where you have change over the original, where change is the difference. Okay, and you always want the change to be positive. And then if the new number was greater than the original number, it was an increase, and if the new number was smaller, it was a decrease. We just always make it positive. So in this case, our change is going to be 3, right? Because there's 3 between the two numbers. I'm going to put that over 23. I don't know my percent. That's over 100. I cross multiply. And I get 23x is equal to 300. I'm going to divide by 23. And I get 13.04%. So what we have is the number of cruise ships in North America increased 16% from 2000 to 2005. If there were 192 ships in 2005, how many were there in 2000? This is the new, correct? Because 2005 is later. And then how many were there in 2000? That's the original. So our original is our unknown. We don't know what that is. So we'll call that X. Our new number is 192. So to solve this, we can either use the proportion, so that, or we can use this formula. In any case, our original is X. So our change is going to be 192 minus X. Because we don't know the actual difference in the ships, right? And our original is X. So if we do new minus original over original, and that equals our percent, which was 16%, only we can't really use it as a percent, so we need to convert it and make it 0.16. Right? If you don't want to work with the decimal though, we can use the formula of the percent over 100. It's up to you. If I cross multiply this, I'm going to get 16x is equal to 100 times 192 minus x. Okay, distribute the 100. Then add 100x to both sides. We get 116x is equal to 19,200. Divide by 116. So, no half ships. We round it to the nearest whole ship, which was 166. Nobody ever says your sales tax is lowering your total by however much. Okay, there are two ways to do sales tax. The first way, you take the cost, you multiply it by the tax rate, and that gives you the tax. And then you take the cost, you add it to the tax, and that gives you your total. Okay, so that's method one. So we're going to do that one first. So if our merchandise was $28.62 and we have a 7.25% tax rate, we have to convert that to a decimal. So I'm going to move 2 places over. So it's going to be 0.0725. So I'm going to take my cost, which is $28.62, and I'm going to multiply it by 0.0725. And I get $2.07. Now, if you're talking about money, you never go past 2 decimal places because we don't deal in portions of pennies, right? Okay. So then I take my cost again, $28.62, and I add it to the 207. And so my total is going to be $30.69. Now in method 2, so here we have 2 parts, right? Parts 1 and part 2. In method 2 we have 1 part. We take the cost and we multiply it by 1 plus the tax rate. And that equals our total. So for the same problem, we take that $28.62, we multiply it by 1 plus 0.0725, which you don't even have to write this step in if you don't want to. We're just adding it to the 1. And as you watch, when I multiply this out, I get the exact same price in one step. Or one part. The reason this works is because this 1 is accounting for this part over here. And then adding the 0.0725 is accounting for this part over here. So it combines the 2 parts into 1 part. Any questions on tax? Our percent decreases. Again, 2 methods. And the first method is very similar to tax. You take the cost or the price, you multiply it by the discount rate, and that gives you your discount. And then you take the cost and you subtract. Oops. You subtract the discount, and that gives you your total. Okay, so if Tyrell is getting a 20% discount, we're going to convert that to a decimal, so I'm going to move 2 places over, so that's 0.2. And he's getting his discount on his monthly insurance rate of $85. So I'm going to take that $85 and I'm going to multiply it by 0.2. And I get 17. So that's how much his discount is. And then I take that $85 and I subtract 17 from it, and his new insurance bill is $68. Method 2 is very similar to the tax method 2. The only difference is we're going to do, instead of 1 plus, we do 1 minus the discount rate. And that'll give me your total. So for the same example, if I took $85, I'm going to do 1 minus 0.2. That's going to be $85 times 0.8. And I get the exact same answer, $68.